In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe. Hunger no get religion.
And scan the human interest in trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand.
Good evening, Nigeria. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Issues on Voice of the People TV, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Jerry Apelahai, and tonight we'll be diving deep into major developments in the Nigerian polity. Stay with us as we analyze these critical issues with our expert panel, and this is a conversation you won't want to miss. We understand that Nigeria marks 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, celebrating progress while acknowledging ongoing challenges like corruption, insecurity, and economic inequality. The milestone reflects the country's resilience and determination to build a stable democracy. And from that, where the PDP accuses the APC of plotting a one-party regime, undermining democracy and violating the constitution. They criticize the Tinubu administration for being anti-democratic, unaccountable, and subverting the people's will, citing examples like the Edo State election and River State turmoil. And still more, where Olu Falaye claims he won the 1999 presidential election, alleging the military denied him victory due to fears he did probe them despite his own service in the Babangida regime. Right after this short break, we'll dig deeper into these topics and more. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's now hit you with a conversation where, ladies and gentlemen, today we mark a significant milestone in Nigeria's democratic journey, 26 years of uninterrupted democracy. This achievement is a testament to the resilience and determination of the Nigerian people. Since the transition to democracy in 1999, our country has made significant progress in consolidating democratic institutions and promoting citizen participation. However, we must also acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead. Issues like corruption, insecurity, and economic inequality continues to test our democratic resolve. As we celebrate this milestone, we must recommit ourselves to strengthening our institutions, promoting transparency and accountability, and ensuring that our democracy truly serves the interests of all Nigerians. As we look to the future, it's essential to draw lessons from our past experiences and harness the opportunities that democracy provides. By working together, we can build a more inclusive, prosperous, and stable democracy that benefits all Nigerians. And today we look at the good, the bad, and the ugly side of 26 years in Nigeria's democracy. All right, today I'm delighted to be joined by two esteemed guests. Here in the studio we have Mr. Peter Nasike. Mr. Nasike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Great to have you join us.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. Joining us virtually is Comrade Godspower Okumbo. He is a public affairs analyst, a political analyst, as well as a commentator and a human rights
Professional politician. So that is the only thing that 26 years of democracy has done. It is one step forward, 5 steps backward. So the life of Nigerians were better 26 years ago than it is today. So telling me that you've made progress, you've not made any progress.
I just really like
Another name for democracy is development. Yes. Are we developing? Is it in state of insecurity, infrastructure, economy? Where? Under a democratic dispensation, all the institutions have been compromised. There's no separation of powers. The judiciary have been compromised. There's no more checks and balances on the part of the National Assembly. So whoever tells you that we are practicing democracy, that person doesn't understand the meaning of democracy.
Let's take it easy. I hear you, Mr. Anosike. I am not saying that we have suddenly made success with democracy. What we just try to buttress is that at least it has been uninterrupted. That is the only progress we've made. And we must say that when the democracy started in 1999, when it came on board in 1999, there were a lot of hope, there were a lot of plans that things were going to get better for a lot of Nigerians. At least we can say for the start, we saw a bit of progress. But what we are seeing now may be different from what was actually the plan for this democracy. But we cannot say that so far so good. The plan for democracy was to at least better the lives of Nigerians. At least we can say it's different from what was obtainable under the military regime.
For me, government is about the people. Democracy is about development.
Yes.
Democracy is about, we have what is known as democratic integrity. One, in the country today, there's no freedom of speech. Understand? There's no freedom of speech. There's no independence of the judiciary and the National Assembly. Understand me?
Okay.
So, and Nigeria was rated as the poverty capital of the world. Nigerians cannot farm. Nigerians cannot travel from point A to point B. So what have we achieved in the last 26 years? We've not achieved anything apart from having billionaires without enterprise. Nigerians are not free. Nigerians are going to bed without hunger, without food. So if this is democracy, then meritocracy is better. That's my submission.
But let's look at the facts on ground. At least in 1999, when Obasanjo came into power, we had a situation where we had lots of debts, and he succeeded in making sure that Nigerian debts were cleared. And we had issues with the economy. And of course, he brought in an economic team where we saw some bit of progress. There was even a time that Nigeria was food sufficient. That was under Jonathan's government. And there was even a time when there was no mention of insecurity. At least Nigerians were still traveling. And of course, there was hope. At least we had telecommunications coming. We had some development, technological development, road construction, schools, and so on and so forth. But what we are seeing now, is that not betraying the progress that was made as at the early times of our democracy? Is that what are we going to do? Because now Nigerians are losing faith. Now you're losing faith that 26 years there's nothing to show for it. Politicians are becoming billionaires. Where did we get wrong?
That's why I told you that what we've done is one step forward, 5 steps backwards.
Who is to blame?
Those who fought for this democracy are highly disappointed. Many people, Beko Ramson Kuti, Chima Obani, Bamidele Aturu, and others died out of frustration because all their efforts as getting a civilian regime was proved abortive. Even those who fought for the democracy are not the one enjoying it. So for me, what we have today is a tyranny of the few and not a democracy. What you have in Nigeria today is autocracy and not a democracy. So it is only the political elites that are celebrating 26 years of democracy. Nigerian masses are not celebrating because what we are witnessing is not a democracy.
All right, let's talk about June 12th. We all remember June 12th as a very historic day, and of course, there are a lot of debates about whether May 29 or June 12th should be marked as Democracy Day. What do you remember about June 12th?
Why people are talking about June 12th was because it was the day that that an election was conducted, which was adjudged free and fair, and MK Abiola was elected from all parts of the country, but the election was annulled. So that is the why people are talking about June 12th. It was June 12th that signified what should resemble a democracy after so many years. So for me, it is not what is being celebrated. It's about the quality of life of the people. It's about the quality of life of the people, and quality of life of Nigerians is not better in 2025 than in 1999. So that's my submission.
Let's look at the process. The process we understand as far as the democracy is concerned has to do with elections. In 1993, Nigerians are still saying that the 1993 election was one of the best, if not the best, in terms of free and fair elections. But now, after 1993, some years after in 1999, we switched back to democracy from military era. And we've had successive elections since 1999 to the last election in 2023. How come Nigerians are still talking about elections that are not free and fair? So what's now the purpose of democracy if Nigerians cannot have faith that the process that brings our leaders is not free and fair? And what does it look like, the political elites? Why are they not bothered in doing anything about it? Why are Nigerians just sitting idly by and allow the process that brings in leaders is still tainted with a lot of corruption and question marks?
One, democracy is not about wearing suit and agbada. That is not the democracy. There's what is called about tenets of democracy. Understand? Which civic responsibilities, rules are integral part of it.
Okay.
So when you are not free to air your opinion, understand? Even if a pastor or a priest is your president, even if an imam is your president, it does not make any meaning. So Nigerians are still in bondage. What the only difference between before 1999 and now is that the person that is sitting at Aso Rock is not wearing khaki. We are not free today, understand me? And before 1999, Gavin Newsom said no. That this is an abuse of power. Understand? That it is unconstitutional. That Donald Trump has no power to send federal troops unless he, the governor, requested for it. So Tinubu has no power to declare state of emergency in Rivers State unless if a Fubra say, excuse me, sir, I need some assistance from the center. So what Tinubu is practicing is not democracy. So whoever is celebrating democracy doesn't know the meaning of democracy. That's why I said Nigerian people are not celebrating. It is only the thieves, those who are benefiting from the system, the billionaires without enterprise. It is them that are celebrating democracy, because they are now more free to thief, to steal than when the army was in power.
All right, we used to have the traditional military parade where, even as I remember back then, during democracy days, we used to have march past from schools and so on and so forth. Where did we actually get it wrong? Because there were a lot of hope in 1999 when we switched to a democratic system of government. And Nigerians at least saw some bit of light, like you say, some step forward. Where did we get it wrong 26 years after?
We got it wrong from 2015 when some gang of people hijacked power, not for governance, but just to rule and share money. That's when we start getting it wrong, from 2015. And if you check from 1999 to today, election is getting bad every 4 years. Election is getting bad every 4 years. Today, people are talking about a fear of one-party state, because that is what the government in power is doing, coercing people in the other political parties to join their own. And that is not a democracy. It is not, and will not be.
What did you deduce from the body language of the president? Because he was supposed to give a national broadcast, which was cancelled, and he was going to address the Nigerians via his address of the National Assembly. We saw award of honors to some individuals. What's your take on the body language of the government in terms of addressing the real issues? Because a lot of Nigerians have seen a lot of distractions from the real issues that face the ordinary Nigerians. And we can see that Nigerians are not even celebrating the Democracy Day, which is more like a reflection of the society. Nobody is happy, but we're supposed to be celebrating Democracy Day.
To address issues, you need to have capacity. To solve problems, you need to have capacity. But this government has no capacity for anything. They have no capacity for anything. So all they are doing is deceiving other people, using propaganda to be deceiving other people, and being in power and at the same time being in the opposition. APC is the only political party in the world that is in government and also in opposition. Why? Because they know that they have not achieved anything. So the only thing that they can keep on doing is playing on the part of the party in the opposition. And again, using force to coerce people to join them. Because they know that if there's a free and fair election, they can never win. If there's free and fair election, they can never win. So what they are doing now is to use propaganda, use lies, use deceit to coerce people, to push people into declaring for them. Reason, because they know that they have not delivered on their campaign promises. And if an election is to be free and fair, they can never win.
Well, take for instance, we all know that the history of the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he was among those who fought for this democracy. And a lot of Nigerians believe that when he gets there, he should be able to at least push those tenets at the forefront. But what we are seeing today is a different kettle of fish. Where did he change his mind? Is it that when he got to Aso Rock, I don't know, it was a different kettle of fish entirely, or the book turned? What does that say about all those who fought for democracy and eventually becoming president, and we are seeing a different thing entirely?
Well, there's what is known as political law of gravity. That is what is going on. Condemning when you are in the opposition and doing when you are in power. So that's what Tinubu is doing as we speak. So being on the side of the people when you are that's in the opposition. But when you now get to power, you now change and become an enemy of the people. So this is what most of them did. Adams, that's Oshomande, that's and others. Understand? Let me be on the side of the people. Then when I get there, I become who I am really. Understand me? My true self. So he and as every despot started like a messiah everywhere in the world. Every despot, every dictator started like a messiah. I'm going to rescue my people. I'm going to fight for my people. I'm going there to salvage my people. At the end of the day, when they use other people and get what they want, they will become who they truly are.
Okay, let's look at our current situation. If we continue to have elections that Nigerians are not sure about, are we going to have the leaders that Nigerians actually want? Because if we cannot trust the process that bring our leaders in, how can our leaders now be accountable to the people when they know that they can bribe their way, they can rig elections to get into power? So there will be no need to be loyal to the people. There will be no need to give back because they know the process, they know how to go about it and make sure they get into power.
Well, if you check, one, APC government is not afraid of the reaction of the Nigerian masses. APC government is not afraid of the reaction of Nigerian masses. They do what they want, understand? Because they know that they don't need the vote of the people to get into office. See what happened in Edo. Edo is a typical example, understand? That whether you vote or you don't vote, they will declare a winner because INEC has become an extension of the APC government. Now, NJC, that's the judiciary, has become an extension of APC government. So they don't care anymore whether other people vote or not. Their hope is that at the end of the day, the INEC chairman will declare them winner. Understand? And okay, you also see what happened in River State. That any governor that feels that to support them, they can declare state of emergency there and remove him or her. That's why most of the governors are now defecting to APC. So Nigerians are now being ruled with fear. Understand? And the easiest way to disarm any human being is to put fear inside him.
Are you talking about coups being held without a gunfire? Because now, if governors can be removed and replaced by sole administrators and so on, what's now different from a military era taking over power?
Well, what happened in River State was a democratic coup. It was a coup against democracy. And the truth is that civilian dictatorship is even worse than military dictatorship. Civilian dictatorship is worse than military dictatorship. Because in a military dictatorship, it's only few people that have power. Understand me? And controlling the resources. But in a civilian dictatorship, you have a whole bunch of people in the executive, in the National Assembly, in the judiciary, all exercising powers and suffering the masses. So rather than having a civilian dictatorship, I prefer a military dictatorship.
Are you calling for military action?
I'm telling you what is happening. Understand me? Military dictatorship is far better than civilian dictatorship.
Would you prefer that?
And that doesn't mean that I am calling for a military coup. Understand me? But what we have now is not different from a military government, because what we are practicing now is pure civilian dictatorship.
And Nigerians being pushed to the wall with the way and manner and the arrogance from the political elites. Are they being pushed to the wall? And what does this mean when Nigerians get being pushed to the wall?
For me, Nigerians, sorry to say this, Nigerians are one of the most gullible people in the world. People with inelastic hope. Understand me? So Nigerians, they love life too much. Understand? They believe in hope. They believe in better tomorrow. Understand? So whatever you are doing to them, you can never push a Nigerians to the war, because there's no war that to start with.
But let's not forget what happened at the NSAS.
There's no war to start with. Even if you push Nigeria to the war, instead of bouncing back, they will prefer that to melt through that wall and continue as if nothing
But that's unfair to those who participated in the NSAS. Because if you take a look at it, a lot of reactions from them. Is it that sometimes we take a look at the NSAS and what happened, the spillover of NSAS. We expect that a sensible government would take lessons from what happened at the NSAS and what happened with how Nigerians voted in the last 2023 election. That the political elite will sit up and try as much as possible to quell any further uprising that might come up in future. But what we're seeing an arrogance on the part of the political elite. Is it that they don't really understand history, or they've forgotten all of a sudden that these are human beings that you are treating this way? One day when there's an uprising, they will not be able to pacify them.
There cannot be an uprising where there's ethnicity and religious bigotry. Understand me? One, unity is more important than numbers. Understand me? Unity is more important than numbers, but there can never be unity where religion and ethnicity is at its peak. So the politicians have studied the Nigerians and know their weak points. Understand? One, they know that Nigerians, if you push them to the wall, they will never bounce back. They know that Nigerians don't have that history of struggle. They know that Nigerians prefer their man being in power to going hungry. Understand me? They know that Nigerians prefer the person with the same religion to going hungry. Understand me? Nigerians prefer to be hungry to removing or going against a person from their ethnic region. So with all this, there's no hope for this country, even in the next 100 years.
You keep saying that.
I have also done my own study of Nigerians. And when you talk about people who know Nigerians very well, I know Nigerians very well.
All right, let's go to the next conversation, where the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accused the All Progressive Congress of plotting to impose a one-party regime in Nigeria, undermining democratic institutions and violating the Constitution. In the statement released on Democracy Day, the PDP described the APC government under President Bola Tinubu as anti-democratic, unaccountable, and bent on subverting the will of the Nigerian people. The PDP pointed to the 2024 Edo State governorship election and the ongoing political turmoil in Rivers State as evidence of democratic erosion under the APC. They condemned the imposition of a sole administrator in Rivers State, arguing that it flagrantly violates constitutional provisions. The party also accused the APC of colluding with compromised state apparatuses, the National Assembly, and certain judicial officers to undermine democracy. The PDP urged Nigerians to resist the APC's anti-democratic designs and called on the government to respect the rule of law, restore accountability, and uphold democratic tenets. They emphasized the importance of protecting Nigerians' democratic foundations and preventing a descent into totalitarianism. Very interesting. Well, taking a look at PDP, what have they even done to stop the government? Because, for instance, we understand they should be able to have a representation, for instance, in the National Assembly. But what we've seen, most of the PDP members, some of them even decamping. If you cannot beat them, join them. They are not even asking questions. They are not acting like an active opposition. Back in the days, we used to have some level of checks and balances. We used to have some level of opposition, even within the same political party. But what we've seen today, everybody in the political elite, they've all colluded to put Nigeria in the dark.
Well, PDP is more civil than APC. Let me put it that way. PDP as a party is more civil than APC. APC is just like wayward children that came together. Fatherless children. Because every political party has what is called Board of Trustees. Board of Trustees are a kind of council of elders, understand, that give advice, caution the members of the party. But up to today, APC don't have Board of Trustees, which means there's no father figure in the party. And what do you expect? It's recklessness. And that's what is happening as we speak. So under PDP, there's no cohesion. Nobody was being forced to join the other party. Nobody was being forced to decamp to other party. Anybody that is decamping is doing that on his or her own free will. But what do you have today? Example is what happened in Akwa Ibom, where the governor was saying, go over with me or go out of my cabinet. That's a typical of PDP, of APC. Then Adams Oshiomhole told you that once you cross over to APC, all your sins, no matter the atrocities that you committed, all your sins have been washed away. You are now a new person. So that's why all these people who have committed one crime or the other have to cross over in order to be free. Then the governors who doesn't want what happened to Edo to happen to them are also crossing over. Understand me? Because EFCC is now an arm of the executive. Understand? Going about coercing people, you either join or go to prison. And this is not a democracy. It is not democracy.
Taking a look at PDP, what are they doing, for instance? Because it's quite easy for you to criticize and say that the APC is doing this, is doing that. What have they done to act as an opposition party, to at least fight against what it sense to be not democratic on the part of the way the APC is running the country?
Well, you see what's happening. One, APC has nothing democratic in them. So all they are using is cohesion. And that is what is going on in the National Assembly. That's what is going on in the National Assembly. You either agree and do what they are doing, or you go out. So both of them there are self-serving. If you don't want to agree with what they are saying, one, you will be removed from any choice committee that you are in. Understand me? And because we don't have a free and fair election in this country, you are returning there. It's not even guaranteed. So nobody is joining APC or doing anything with APC is doing that in good faith, because it's just fear of tomorrow, because you know that you are dealing with demons.
Well, talking about our political elites, we find most of them are found wanting of corruption cases and so on and so forth. If the beautiful ones are not yet born among the political elite, who will now raise the accusing finger? Who will point the accusing finger at the other person? Because it more or less looks like pot calling kettle black.
The truth is that you cannot be in a political office for 24 hours without committing one infringement or the other. You cannot be in a political office for 24 hours without committing one infringement or the other, because there's an inbuilt corruption in government.
Which allows it? Because does our system of government allow our politicians to be corrupt? Does it give them that room?
I say there's an inbuilt corruption in government. You cannot go there without being corrupt. What we're not talking about is the magnitude. Understand me? What we are not talking about is the magnitude. So those who are there must have done one thing or the other that they are using as a hook on them.
Okay.
And if you fail to do what they ask you to do, the EFCC is with them. They will use it against you.
Well, let's take a look at our system of government. Are there no some things that are wrong that could be changed so as to at least reduce the level of corruption? Because allowing governors to have a say on funds and even having access to funds, that could also have encouraged, because you're putting a fish in the presence of a cat and you're telling the cat not to eat out of that fish. Because our politicians are falling prey so many times because they don't look like people who are prudent, who can shy away from wanting to steal public funds.
If you don't give governors access to fund, how can they run their states?
What about the accountant general having only access to the funds? They can sign, but don't have access to the funds being diverted to your pocket or diverted to for personal use.
No, there's no way you can deny a governor of funds. The accountant general of a state is a human being. He is an appointee. Somebody appointed him.
Okay.
So somebody appointed him to serve him. Understand? So it doesn't make sense. The governor, the money must get to the governor.
To his own personal account at the end of the day.
I'm not saying
we see money
account.
moving from the account where it's owned by the state, moving to the personal account of the governor and his cronies. So is that supposed to be? There are no lots of loopholes that the politicians use as opportunity to loot the funds. Is there no political will to at least block all these loopholes?
That's what I'm talking about. Compromise. The executive has compromised. There are supposed to be checks and balances, but when the institutions are no more functioning, the president has become an emperor, or the son that all the other planets must revolve around. There's no way. So whatever he says is what goes. Understand? Nobody checks him. He can check every other person. And that, as I said earlier, is not democracy but autocracy.
Let's go to the former secretary to the government of the Federation, talking about Chief Olufalaye, who claims that he won the 1999 presidential election against Olusegun Obasanjo, but was denied victory by the military establishment. Falaye stated that he went to court and his lawyer established that he won by 1.5 million votes. He alleged that the military was afraid he would probe them if he became president. And Falaye found it ironic that the military would fear him probing them, given his own history of service under Babangida's regime. He served as secretary for 4 years and minister for 1 year, making it illogical for the military to think debate about the 1999 election, which marked Nigeria's transition to democracy. His allegations highlight the country's complex history and the role of the military in shaping its politics. Do you agree with Olufalaye that he won the 1999 election?
He failed woefully. He failed woefully. Where did his vote come from? Understand me? Where did his vote come from? Because Southeast, South, North voted for Obasanjo. So we
Of the North.
understand me. So saying no, he shouldn't go into it. He failed woefully. That's in politics. That's what is called losing deposits. That's when you score less than 25% vote. He lost his deposit. He didn't score up to 10% of the votes in 1999.
So why the assumption that he won the 1999 election? Why does he have the assumption and belief that he won the election, that the military rigged him out?
So why is he saying it now, 26 years after?
He must have been saying it, but it was not loud.
So for me, it just maybe he suffered from diarrhea of the. So he shouldn't have said it. He failed woefully.
He made a mention of his relationship with the military under Babangida's government. That why were they afraid that he was going to probe them? Was there anything the military did wrong against him? Because we know that he also faced challenges under the military era. Was there any reason for Babangida or the military to be afraid that when he becomes president, he was going to probe them?
Obasanjo was in Yonda prison, and Babangida went to him and said, "Come and run for the president."
Okay. So why did he not probe them? Why were they not afraid of Obasanjo? Why were they more afraid of
so Obasanjo was in Yonda prison when Babangida said, "Go and come out and run." Obasanjo asked Babangida, "How many head of state do you want to make from me? I've been a head of state before." Obasanjo said, "No, we still need you. Go and run." Understand? And he was given the ticket of the major party then, PDP. Okay. Understand? And PDP was a combination of North and South. Why AD was that's at the fringes. So there's no way he would have won.
Because he was not in a political party that was popular.
There's no way that he would have won. Obasanjo won free and square.
All right, time really fast spent. We'll have to wrap it up here. I want to say big thanks, Mr. Nasike, for being awesome on the show this evening. And I believe Nigerians have learned one or two about our democracy so far so good.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, it's been a pleasure having you. And that's how we wrap it up for tonight's episode of the Issues on Voice of the People TV. We'll continue to monitor development closely. We hope you stay engaged and informed. Remember, your voice matters. As we say, stay involved and keep the conversation going. I am Jerry Apeyohai, and this has been the Issues on Voice of the People TV. Good night, Nigeria.